Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Today we're going to be tying a cicada pattern, and this will absolutely slay for the hatch that we're having here in 2024, this upcoming May, for broods 13 and 19. And we're going to be tying this today on a Umpqua U-series hook, model U504, size 2. This hook has a little crook in it on the shank, and that's specifically designed to keep materials from rolling around the shank as you fashion them on. They're made for poppers and foam flies, things like that. So we got our glue base laid down. We have our thread started behind the eye, up and over the crook, all the way down to the bend of the shank, and we're bringing it forward now. Laying down a good thread base. Now what you can't see in the video here is that I've went ahead and pre-cut some strips of sticky back foam. I've got little 1-inch strips for the main underbody that are about 1/8 of an inch wide. We go ahead and peel off that sticky back foam paper before we fashion that on. We're going to put that on the side of the shank, starting right at the beginning of the crook, going all the way down to the curve, and then bringing the thread back forward. The reason you put them on the side is because when you roll that thread over top of that foam, it wants to pull the foam around to the side of the hook. So if you start on the side facing you, if you're wrapping away from you, it rolls it just on top, which is pretty cool. Next, I've got this piece here. I went ahead and removed the paper side off the sticky foam to expose the tacky side of it. This piece here is about 2/8 of an inch wide, and it's about 9 inches long. So we're going to tie that in all the way down to the start of the bend, going back up over the crook, and I'm bringing my thread back up and over the crook, starting at the back side of it. Now what that does is it's going to leave us some room to tie in our flash and our wing. Since I've got a rotary vise, I'm going to take this vise and rotate 6 revolutions, giving myself 6 body segments. So 6 wraps all the way up to where our thread is. If you don't have a rotary vise, you can just do this, and hand wind it, hand palmer it forward as you go. That's fine as well. We're going to lock in that thread over top of that foam so it can't unravel on us. Even though it does have a sticky back, it can unravel if you didn't do it tight enough. Next, we're going to come in with some copper-colored Krystal flash, about 10 to a dozen pieces, about 2 inches long. We're going to lay that over the top, tie that in, and then we're going to pull that to about right at the base of the fly, and then trim off the excess up front and make sure that our Krystal flash is nice and pretty. It's going to ride up high like that until we lock it in with the foam. What I'm using for the wing today is actually a Coyote tail. I've pulled off some fibers, got myself a nice little wing case there, and I'm going to lock that in. Nice natural material, looks really good in the water, doesn't inhibit your casting too much. Yeah, it looks really buggy. So we're going to fashion that in really nice and neat. Make sure that it's centered on top of the bug. And take a little bit of super glue, put it on our thread so we can lock that in nice and tight, make sure it's not going anywhere. Give a couple of wraps to secure it. We're going to bring that thread all the way up to the eye of the hook. With the remaining of our body segment foam that we're using, we're going to palmer that forward 3 times. Give 3 more wraps. Try not to crowd the eye up too much. So about 3 wraps, and then we're going to try to lock that off. The cool thing about this foam is that it's not super stiff. It's pretty pliable, so even if you do crowd the eye a little bit, you can push it back with your fingernails, which is kind of what I have to do here on this particular bug. It happens from time to time. So with our excess, now that we've got that nice and locked off and tied out, we're going to trim that off, try to pull it back, and then we're going to wrap our thread back over the head and thorax of the fly, and we're going to try to clean that eye up as best we can, and we're going to bring that slightly back towards where the wing case starts, right where the abdomen and thorax start and stop. So we're looking at the underside of the fly right now. I've got some silly legs that are just little rubber silly legs. These are bright orange. You can use barred orange if you want. You can use red. You can use yellow. But we're going to tie those in, fold them over, and have one leg going down either side of the hook point on the bottom of the fly. Orange really is the best color. My second choice would be the barred orange and black, and then red, and then maybe yellow. But you can use whatever color that you wish. I just prefer straight orange. Next, I've got another piece of sticky back foam that's about 1/4 inch wide, and I've trimmed off the, you can see there, I've trimmed off the 2 corners to make kind of like a little trapezoid shape on one edge of it. I put a little bit of super glue there to make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. Lock that in. We're going to lay that right over top of the legs and then roll the fly back over. Now you can see here I'm trimming off the end of it because I could already tell it's going to be too long. So I'll trim that off, and then I'm going to make a little wedge, little triangular wedge up here with that piece of foam also. And that will make the back side of the thorax when we fold it over. I went ahead and poked a hole through this foam because it's just easier to push over the eye that way. And that saves you a little bit of grief when trying to push this stuff over the hook eye. So nice and neat, just like that. Then we're going to take the rest of that paper, pinch it off, and push that over and just push it down on top of itself. You use your nail here to expose that hook eye, make sure that it's a little bit cleaner. But your fly is just about done at this point. And take our thread, and we're just going to make one little body segment here to separate the thorax and the head. Try to make nice straight even wraps if you can. Pinch it down. That sticky back foam really likes to adhere to itself really easily, so it's good for that. Then we're going to square off. We're going to take those square edges off where it kind of looked like a square tip shovel, and we're going to make nice little diagonal cuts there. We've got 2 more pieces of those rubber silly legs. I'm going to fashion one on one side. Make sure it's straight and in line with the other legs. And then we finally got our last set of legs there. We're going to lay those down. This is all on the underside of the fly. Make sure those are straight and in line with the other pair on the other side. Give it a couple of wraps, make sure it's secure. And then we're going to put some head cement on our thread so we can lock that in nice and tight. I don't do super glue on the thread that goes over top of the foam, because once the super glue dries, it makes the foam white. It bleaches it out for some reason. I guess it's just the chemicals in the super glue. But the head cement doesn't do that. And any excess that I've got on the back side of the bug there, near the wing case, I'm going to wipe off with my thumb. That stuff dries pretty quick, so I'm going to go ahead and trim our thread off. And we got a nice looking bug already here. A lot of people like to use push pins with red heads on them for the eyes. I don't like that. They don't look too realistic to me. I used to use those in the past, and they used to be, you know, what I always did, but I find them kind of cumbersome to use. So I went on Amazon and I ordered some hot glue sticks that were bright red, and I just drew out a couple of little beads, you know, on a piece of cardboard with the hot glue, making little balls for the eyes. And once those dry and cool down, you can peel them off, and you've got pre-made eyes ready for yourself to use. I just adhere those on either side of the head with little dabs of super glue. Once you get both of those on, you can trim your legs to size. I usually give them about 3/4 of an inch long. You don't want them too short, you don't want them too long. Realism is a big factor in these flies. So that's it. You're looking at a finished bug here. Beautiful cicada fly, made with Krystal Flash, double-sided foam, and Coyote tail for your wing case. And that'll get her done right there, guys.